So if I were going to roast this on its own, the wingtips have a tendency to burn, so I like to tuck them back behind the bird itself. That's okay. And that just kind of keeps them from sticking out and burning. The other thing I like to do is kind of, I don't necessarily trust the chicken. A lot of times demonstrations will show you like wrapping twine all around it, and I just think that can be kind of a waste of your time. There's this trick I learned years ago where you don't need any twine. You kind of pull out this bit of skin here, you make one cut there, you take the drumstick from the opposite side and you tuck it in. Then you do a cut on the other side. Oops, kind of went through a little too far. And pull the other leg over. And there you go. Trussed chicken, no twine. So that's how you would do it if you were gonna just throw it in. Now, the thing I didn't show you is loosening the skin. You want to try to get as much of this oil in contact with the skin, or I mean the meat. So you just kind of work your fingers in there, get over your squeamishness about touching raw poultry, and you just loosen the skin. A lot of people will only do this with the breast, but I like to try to do as much of it as you can. So if you go to the side where the leg is, you can just kind of work your fingers under there. You try not to break the skin and just kind of loosen it around the leg, around the thigh. Sometimes it's easier to flip it over to the back and loosen it from that side. So at that point, if you were to roast it whole, I start pouring, like the bird I have in there, I poured that full amount in the cavity, under the skin, all around. Some of it's going to kind of seep out into your pan, but that's okay. That just adds to your pan sauce and gives you really, really flavorful sauce. So, has anybody heard the term spatchcock? It sounds naughty, but I'm going to show you how to do that, and then I'll break this apart a little bit further. So, when you spatchcock a chicken, you're essentially removing the backbone. And if you have poultry shears, that's kind of the ideal way to do it. You're just going to cut along each side of the backbone. Now I'm going to use my knife to do this, and I'm just going to kind of hold it like this. The backbone is right along here. You can feel it with your fingers. And I'm just going to start by going like this. Now I have a really sharp knife. If your knives are dull, by all means, take them in to get sharpened. There's nothing more dangerous in your kitchen than a dull knife. So, then you go along the other side, and you pull it out, and there's your backbone. You save this, and you actually, you know what? I was going to throw it in here for a little sauce, but you know what? I'm just going to put it in there. We're going to grill it anyways. So at this point, you've got the bird kind of opened up, and you want to kind of flatten it, and you just sort of pull the breast like that, and that is how you spatchcock a chicken. Any questions on that part of it? So if you want to break this down further, say you're cooking dinner, during a weeknight, you can do it this way first if you want. In my experience, this cuts down the cooking time maybe by about half. It might take a little more than half as long. But if you're really in a hurry, you got hungry people. I usually like to go down along the breastbone, which would be right here. Just cut right through. And you can see I'm not sawing through bone. I just kind of went along one side of the breastbone. So I've got the chicken cut in half now. Now I'm going to separate the leg thigh from the breast. Can everybody see okay? All right. So again, you want to just I'm going to cut through the skin. And then you get to where you feel this joint where the thigh, and I just broke it with my finger. So you don't really even need the knife necessarily to do this perfectly. But it broke the thigh away from the rib cage. So you can kind of see this line of fat here. That's just kind of, it's almost like nature's guideline. your cutting line there. So you've got the leg thigh piece separated. I'm going to do it on this side. Mostly what you're doing is just cutting through the skin. And you can see there's that line of fat there. And I'm just going to cut right through it. So we got those separated. Now, to separate the leg from the thigh, again, there's this line of fat that's kind of tells you where to cut. Can you all see this right here? That's where the joint is. So I'm just going to run my knife through there, and you can usually just break it. Although the meat is kind of, look at the meat. So you can see that it just came right out there. So I'm just going to run my knife in the joint, and you're not hearing any cracking of bones. You're just cutting through the joints, really, or through the kind of some tendons and stuff like that. So I'll do the other one. Flipping it over. You cut through the skin, and you cut down to where you see that joint, and you can just break it. So now I got thighs and legs. Now with the breast, you can kind of feel where the joint of the wing meets with the breastbone. So I'm just going to run my knife down there a little bit, and you just kind of pop it. You can see it pops out of the socket there. And just separate that. Some people, there's really no meat on the wingtips. You could cut that off and save it for stock if you want to. I'm just going to leave it on. So then again, you just kind of make a small cut in there, and then bend it kind of backwards till that bone pops out. So if you were in a hurry and wanted, the breast meat to cook fast too, I will usually cut these in half. So I'm just gonna, for today, just for speed, I'm gonna cut them into thirds, just to help them cook a little quicker. This is the part where you are cutting through bone. You're actually cutting through the rib cage. Here, I'll show you. So that's the rib cage on the opposite side. So we've got this piece. We're just gonna cut each breast into 3. My hands are absolutely frozen at this point. So, and then we'll split this one. Any questions? Does this make sense? Do you feel like you could do this at home? Okay. And it takes some practice, I didn't learn this overnight. So now, I'm going to take this and pour it over. And it just, I don't know, can you guys smell this in the front row? It just smells amazing. So there's a whole tablespoon of salt in here, but this is a fair amount of chicken. So, I would say let this marinate overnight. We're not going to do that tonight or today, but we're going to get this on the grill, get it cooking.